For more than 2 decades of its existence, Pokemon is not known for its difficulty or some sort of challenge that rewards the players for their incredible skill, which is unfortunate since Pokemon is one of the games that have very high replayability value. Luckily, the community has invented countless ways to replay the game without getting bored, and one of them stood out over everything else: Nuzlocke. Nuzlocke Challenge introduced in 2010 and it became popular with the release of Nuzlocke comic on the internet. Although back then, the name wasn't Nuzlocke like we knew today, but instead a simple name, Pokemon Hard Mode. In general, Nuzlocke Challenge has two basic rules players must obey. The first rule is that you can only catch or pick the first Pokemon you encounter in the area. No picking favorites here. Even if your encounter is terrible, you cannot catch any other Pokemon in the same area. The second basic rule is that any fainted Pokemon is considered dead, and you cannot use them anymore. With these two new rules, Nuzlocke became super popular, as players found out that this challenge required more skill than any other challenge. They need to figure out how to beat certain trainers without letting their Pokemon go down, or at the very least, sacrificing the less important ones. Players also began to appreciate Pokemon that they had never used before, or Pokemon that known to be terrible. As time passed by, however, players realized that there was a couple of issues which made Nuzlocke not a challenge anymore. Because of that, a new version of Nuzlocke was introduced, Hardcore Nuzlocke. This variation keeps two basic rules of Nuzlocke and adds 3 more rules. The first additional rule is that there is level cap for each gym fight, usually at the gym leader's strongest Pokemon. This rule fixes one of the major issues, which is the fact you can simply overlevel your Pokemon. No level advantage here means you must rely on your skill. One thing to note here is that level cap rule here applied before the fight, so you can level up your Pokemon during the fight and become overlevel as a result. The second rule is that you cannot use items during the fight, so no X item spam here or Hyper Fortune spam for that matter. And the last rule is that the battle mode are always on set mode, meaning you cannot switch in freely after you knock out the opponent's Pokemon. Okay, so that's my quick explanation about Nuzlocke. Now, here's my very first attempt of Hardcore Nuzlocke challenge in Pokemon League Queen. For my very first Nuzlocke run, I don't really want to push myself too hard, which is why I picked Bulbasaur as my starter. Bulbasaur is considered as the best starter for Kanto playthrough, as it has good matchup against the first 3 gym leaders due to its grass typing. I named my Bulbasaur Brandon and fight against my rival Spade and his Charmander. This battle is very tough, as it extremely reliant on luck, but thankfully Brandon managed to get a critical hit and refuses to miss a single tackle until Charmander goes down. After defeating Spade, I can go to Route 1 and train Brandon a little bit until it learns Lead Seed at level 7. Then I pick the Professor Oak's parcel in Viridian City's Pokemart. After giving the parcel to Professor Oak, he gives me some Pokeballs which allows me to catch Pokemon. In Route 1, I get Pidgey as my encounter, which I catch and name Patricia. Then in Route 2, I catch a Rattata and name it Roy. In Viridian Forest, I catch a Weedle and name it Wilson. And lastly, in Route 22, I got a Spearow, which I named Steven. Before exploring Viridian Forest, I train all my new members except Patricia until they reach level 7, in which Roy learns Tap Priority Quick Attack and Wilson evolves into Kakuna. I also decide to put Patricia into the PC since I like Steven more as a normal flying bird Pokemon. Thanks to the early grind in Route 1, I don't have any problem during the fight against both wild and trainers Pokemon in Viridian Forest. The only issue during this session is to getting poison from Weedle's Poison Sting, since in this game, poison Pokemon can faint even outside of battle. But with 2 poison type and some antidotes, there's nothing to scare of. Eventually, Brandon is strong enough to be able to learn Step Fine Whip, and Wilson also evolves into its final form, Beedrill, and learns Fury Attack. Now it's time to fight against the first gym leader, Brock. This battle is unsurprisingly easy, as Brandon one-shot both Geodude and Onix with 4 times super effective Step Fine Whip. That's the first batch. After defeating Brock, I can go to Route 3, and here's where I need to be careful with the trainers, as some of them can actually pose a serious threat. I walk between trainers carefully, ensuring I only fight all mandatory trainers. Once I leave the trainer zone, I can now find 2 more encounters. In Route 3, I catch a Nidoran female and name it Nelly. Meanwhile, in Mount Moon, I get a Zubat which I named Zara and put it into the PC. During the training in Mount Moon, a lot of my Pokemon learn new useful moves, including Roy, which learns Powerful at Hyper Fang at level 13, Brandon, which learns Sleep Powder at level 15, and Nelly, which learns Double Kick at level 12. I also pick up Persim Berry right beside Pokemon Center in front of Mount Moon. which might be useful for next major battle. While exploring Mount Moon, both Nelly and Brandon evolve at level 16 into Nidorina and Ivysaur respectively. Then I pick up a Moonstone at the corner and immediately use it to evolve Nelly into Nidoqueen. After leaving Mount Moon, I take a chance to catch a new Pokemon in Route 4, which ends up being a Sandshrew. I catch it and name it Sylvan. Then I face up against Spade in the north side of Cerulean City, in which Nelly obliterates his entire team thanks to its superior stats. After defeating Spade, I can now have access to both Route 24 and 25, and here's where I start being careless during the fight against one of the trainers, although I'm very lucky to not losing Roy. As for the new encounters, I managed to catch an Abra named Al in Route 24 and a Bellsprout named Bob in Route 25. I also pick up a secret power TM for Roy, an orange berry nearby, and carelessly losing Wilson while grinding. I didn't heal Wilson before this fight and get knocked out by PG's critical hit boosted Gust. Thankfully, I don't lose any power Pokemon during the grind and able to evolve both Roy and Steven at level 20 into Ratican and Fearow respectively. And for the last preparation, I give Brandon a Persim Berry for one-type protection against Confuse. Then it's time to face up against the second gym leader, Misty. Her Starmie is absolute threat at this point with its raw stats, but I believe that Brandon can handle this fight. I lead with Brandon against Misty's lead Staryu. Staryu outspeeds Brandon and goes for Water Pulse, in which Brandon takes resist hit pretty well and more importantly not get confused, so that he can hit Staryu really hard with super effective Fine Whip. Staryu survives in the red, so in the next turn Misty uses a super potion, which is pointless since Brandon brings Staryu back to the red with Fine Whip. Then Staryu goes for Water Pulse once again, but Brandon avoids getting confused for a second time and knocks Staryu out. Brandon grows to level 22 and forgets Fine Whip for stronger step Razor Leaf. Starmie is out next and goes for Water Pulse again, but once again Brandon doesn't get confusion and still in the green. Brandon then hits Starmie with Razor Leaf, dealing more than half of Starmie's health. In the next turn, Starmie goes for Swift, in which Brandon survives before getting knocked out by Brandon's second Razor Leaf. Miss is defeated and the second batch is ours. Before leaving Cerulean City, I need to defeat a Team Rocket Grunt who's standing right behind of the Rock House. After defeating him, I get a TM for Dick, which I use to teach the move into Nelly. Then, I start to get more encounters and items. In Route 5, I get a guaranteed Meowth encounters since everything else is duplicate. I name my Meowth Max and send it into the PC. In Route 6, I pick a Citrus Berry in the northwest corner and not catch any Pokemon Horn now because everything here is also duplicate. In Vermilion City, I pick an Old Rock and use it for free Magikarp encounter in the same city, which is a bad location to fish actually, since it is one of the very few locations where I can catch Staryu. But regardless, I catch Magikarp and name it Murray. In Diglett's cave, I catch a Diglett and name it Daniel, and lastly, in Route 11, I catch a guaranteed Drowsy, which I named Dewey. After spending more time grinding, Nelly reaches level 22 and learns Body Slam. Some of my Pokemon also evolves during the grind. Al evolves into Kadabra at level 16 and learns Confusion. Sylvan evolves into Sensas at level 22, and finally, Murray evolves into Gyarados at level 20 and learns Bite. Before fighting Spade in SSN, I try to pick some items that scatter all around the ship, including status removal berries in the kitchen and a TM forest in one of the rooms in the basement. After that, I meet Spade right below Captain's room and challenge him in the battle, in which I win easily thanks to the massive power advantage from my Fearow, Nidoqueen, and Gyarados. After some preparation, it's time to fight against the third team leader, Lieutenant Surge. I lead with Daniel and Surge lead with Voltorb. Daniel faster and dodges Voltorb's attack by hiding underground. Then in the next turn, Daniel strikes Voltorb with Stab Super Effective Dig, in which Voltorb survives and gets a Screech. Surge heals Voltorb with Super Potion, but the Leafy Pokeball gets one-shot by Daniel's Magnitude 6 thanks to critical hit. Pikachu is out next, and I swap Daniel with Nelly, avoiding potential one-shot by a critical hit quick attack at -2 defense. Pikachu just goes for double team on that turn, followed by quick attack on the next turn, which triggers Nelly's poison point. Nelly goes for Dig after getting attacked by Pikachu's quick attack, and in the next turn, Surge uses his full hit on Pikachu as Nelly misses the attack after double team. Pikachu goes for another quick attack in the next turn, which hilariously triggers poison point immediately, as Nelly hides underground once again. Thankfully, Nelly connects the Dig in the next turn, knocking out Pikachu instantly. Last is Raichu, which is faster than everyone else in my team, and goes for double team, while Nelly digs underground. Raichu then goes for double team again, and dodges Nelly's Dig. Raichu goes for another double team for the next 2 turns, while Nelly misses Dig again. With Raichu at plus for evasion, I decide to stop using Dig and instead use another moves like Double Kick and Growl, waiting for Raichu to get poisoned via Poison Point, since Raichu can only damage Nelly with Quick Attack. Eventually, Raichu gets poisoned by the ability, and I just keep switching my Pokemon in and out until Raichu goes down, winning as the third batch. With Saffron City still closed, I need to go back to Serpent City and go through Route 9 in the east. There's nothing to catch in this area, but I grab a TM4 Aerial Edge and teach it to Stephen. In Route 10, I catch a Voltorb which is guaranteed encounter and name it Finch. Meanwhile, in Rock Tunnel, I have a chance to grab either Mankey, Machop, or Onix. I get the first one, which I successfully catch and name it Mina. Exploring Rock Tunnel without Flash is a little tricky, especially with the random trainers looking around. But at the very least, many of them only use either Grass or Rock-type first stage Pokemon, which are easily handled by Stephen, Murray, and Brandon. Eventually, I'm able to reach Lavender Town without any issue and go straight to Route 12's gate. Here I can pick a TM for return from a lady in the second floor. After picking up the return TM, I go to Route 8 and pick up the berries around the grass. I also try to catch a Vulpix here as my counter, but it goes for roar immediately before I even have a chance to throw a Pokeball. The same also happens in Route 7 as Vulpix goes for first turn roar again. But at the very least, I can unlock a lot of goodies in Celadon City. First, in the top of Celadon Mansion, I grab a Navy as my encounter and name it Edward. Second, I can pick a coin cash from a guy in the restaurant so that I can buy coins in Game Corner, which I use to buy powerful TM like Thunderbolt and Ice Beam. Third, I can buy TM for Dig, Brick Break, and Secret Power in Celadon Pokemon as many as I want. And fourth, an old lady in Celadon Mansion give me the T, which allows me to unlock the access to Saffron City and get TM for Psychic in Mr. Psychic's house. After some grinding and preparation, I'm ready to challenge the 4 team leader Erika. Al ends up one-shot every single Erika's Pokemon with Psybeam, which enslavers at level 21. I didn't expect Kadabra Sweep here, but I'll take it. 4th batch. Now it's time to go inside Team Rocket's base in Game Corner's basement. All the grunts here are easy to handle and grants my Pokemon some experience. At level 30, Edward learns Bite, which is special in this game. Then I buy a Thunderstone in Celadon Pokemart in order to evolve Edward into Jolteon. Electric type Pokemon is great for Kanto late game, and Jolteon is the poster child of the type, with incredible special attack and speed. As for Team Rocket boss Giovanni, Sylvan handles both Onix and Rhyhorn easily with Stab's super effective Dig, while Nelly finishes off Kangaskhan after the Kangaroo getting chipped by Sylvan's Brick Break. Next, I go into Pokemon Tower and rescue Mr. Fuji in the top floor. But before that, I need to fight against Spade in the second floor, which ends pretty quickly since the level advantage here is so big. Once Mr. Fuji returns to his home safely, I can get a Pokeflute from him, which is crucial for both playthrough and new encounter. With Pokeflute, I can wake Snorlax up in Route 12 and try to catch it as my encounter. However, this Snorlax is very infuriating to catch. It always breaks the balls, goes for sleep to full HP, puts my Pokemon to sleep with Yawn, and deals big damage with Headbutt, over and over again. After many failed attempts, my team are in good shape, and in desperation, I start to spam Sand Attack with Smith, and then this happened. I don't remember last time being this mad by a Pokemon game, but yeah, at this point, I can't control my emotion and start more and more careless, not even care if I might get wiped to this thing. After few more painful turns, I finally able to catch this behemoth and name it Smith. Losing Sylvan here is definitely worth price to pay since Snorlax is amazing Pokemon, although I need to talk about that later. After some break, I continue my journey into Fuchsia City. There are a couple new encounters that I managed to catch, although only 2 of them are notable for this attempt. First is a Krabby, which I get by fishing in Route 13 with Super Rod. Krabby and its evolution is pretty terrible without physical special split. However, catching it will greatly increase the odds to get Staryu in Cinnabar Island. The second notable encounter is a Doduo in Route 18, which I catch and named Danny, and replace Steven as the best normal flying type Pokemon. With 30 Pokemon registered in Pokédex, I can get the item finder from Professor Oak's assistant in Route 11's gate. There is a few items that can only be obtained by using item finder. One of them is the leftovers, which I get right at the top of Snorlax's sleeping spot. In Safari Zone, I grab a Quick Claw as well as an HM for Surf, granting all of my water type Pokemon a strong, reliable stat. I delay Danny's evolution until it learns powerful step Drill Peck at level 37. Then I let Danny evolve into Dodrio, which naturally learns the move much later at level 47. Since the level cap for both Koga and Sabrina are equal, I decide to go to Silco and fight against Team Rocket invading the building. Before I meet up with Giovanni for a rematch, I must fight against Pet, who patiently waits in the 7th floor. The level differences here is way smaller than before, but I still managed to defeat him without any problems. Next is Giovanni, who swaps his Onyx for Nidorino and Nidoqueen, making his team more vulnerable to psychic attacks. However, I may overestimate Al's special attack here, since Nidoqueen survives after getting attacked by Al's super effective psychic, and just one crit away from losing the Magician. Giovanni's remaining 2 Pokemon are not that threatening at this point, so Team Rocket is done and it's time to prepare for the gym battles. Okay, so what actually happened here is that I tried to get more EXP by defeating the gym trainers. However, one of the gym trainers here in Saffron City has a Ghastly that knows Destiny Bond. If you don't know Destiny Bond, it is a move that knocks the opponent's Pokemon out after they knock out the user before it makes another move. And because Smith is a Snorlax, it would never go first and forced to take damage from the opponents, or in this case, letting the force Ghastly to get off Destiny Bond, knocking out Smith alongside it after getting knocked out by super effective Shadow Ball. I decide to bring back Stephen, who learns that Wilpet at level 40 for the next 2 gym fights. First is the 5th gym leader Koga. His lead coughing goes down immediately by Al's Psychic, which it learns at level 36. Koga sends out Mach next, and it managed to survive a Psychic from Al, allowing it to set up a minimize. Knowing Koga will heal in the next turn, I'm not swiping out Al and try to attack with Psychic again, hoping I get higher roll for the knockout. Al connects with a Psychic, but Mach still survives in the red. Then I swap Al with Nelly, only for Koga to use another Hyper Potion. Nelly goes for Body Slam in the next turn, since I thought Body Slam will bypass minimize, but that's not the case in this game, as Body Slam misses and Mach goes for an Acid Armor. Then I swap Nelly with Murray for some reason, before switching back into Nelly 2 turns later. I just realized that Nelly is actually the single base counter for Koga's Mach, as it's immune to poison, quad resisting Sludge, Mach's only attacking move, and even has leftovers for passive recovery. Even if Mach manages to dodge every single attack, it will run off TP eventually and forced to struggle until it gets knocked out. Nelly ends up connecting all the surf funnily enough and knocks out Mach. Koga's last 2 Pokemon is easy to deal with, although I need to find the opportunity to bring in Al in front of Wheezy. With everything knocked out, Koga is defeated and I get the 5th match. Next is Sabrina, the 6th gym leader. Against her lead Kadabra, I sent out Danny the Dodrio and tried to set up with Rage, which deals a little more than half funnily enough. If Kadabra ends up attacking Danny, Danny will get attack boost from Rage and easily sweep Sabrina's entire team. Kadabra just set up with Calm Mind and then gets knocked out in the next turn. Mr. Mime is out next, and it probably just setups again, so I don't bother with Rage and just go for Tri Attack for the KO. Venomon is next, and I accidentally picked Tri Attack instead of Drill Peck, so the mod survived and confused Danny with Supersonic. Sabrina then heals as I swap Danny with Stephen in order to remove the confusion. In the next turn, Stephen one-shot Venomon with Drill Peck, leaving Sabrina with just Alakazam. Stephen outspeed and hits Alakazam very hard with Snap Secret Power, fishing for paralysis since I'm not sure if Drill Peck can one-shot. Alakazam survives in the red, but it gets paralyzed, which triggers Alakazam Synchronize, so that Stephen also gets paralyzed. But then Alakazam gets full paralyzed immediately, and Stephen still at full HP. I swap Stephen with Murray on the next turn, predicting Sabrina will use a full heal, but she actually still has another Hyper Potion, and use that to heal Alakazam instead, followed with a full heal in the next turn. Murray goes for Secret Power, which doesn't one-shot Alakazam, nor gets the paralysis. Alakazam goes for Psyche in the last turn before getting knocked out by Murray's Secret Power, winning us the 6th match. With Surf, I can now try to find several new encounters. In Viridian City, I'm surfing at the small pond in the western area in order to find a guaranteed Slowpoke encounter. I managed to catch that Slowpoke and name it Cian. Then I ride Nelly from Pallet Town all the way into Cinnabar Island and use Super Road there. Now that I have Gyarados, Slowpoke, and Krabby, I can guarantee encounter Staryu with this way. I successfully catch the Starfish and name it Sonia. Here's all my remaining Pokemon that I catch recently. With the exception of Daisy the Dugong, none of them will be useful for the rest of the playthrough. For my preparation for the last 2 gym leaders, I replaced Nelly with Sonia and ride the latter until it catch up with its teammates. Now it's time to fight Blaine, the 7th gym leader. Blaine is often considered as one of the easiest gym leaders out of all 8 Kanto gym leaders, and this is why. All Blaine's Pokemon can do is to attack with Fire Blast. meaning if you have good fire resist, preferably water type, then you can basically guarantee win and get the 7 badge. The same is also applied for the last gym leader Giovanni. Even with lower level cap of 45, any good water type can sweep through his entire team. That's the 8 gym badge, and now it's time for the final challenge, the Pokemon League. I decided to change my team for the final challenge, replacing Al and Stephen with Daisy the Dugong and Dewey the Drowsy, in order to improve my matchup against some of the biggest threats. There's also an idea to replace Murray with Nelly, since I already have 2 water types, but eventually I decided to keep Murray, as Intimidate may come in handy, and also the fact that there's no electric type threats that I need to worry about. After spending a lot of time for grinding, teaching new moves, and picking up all the necessary items, it's time to facing up against the Elite Four and the champion. The first of the Elite Four member is Lorelei, an Ice type expert whom no one should underestimate. She leads with her Dugong while I lead with Edward. Edward goes first and tries to one-shot Dugong with Stabbed super effective Thunderbolt. However, Dugong barely survives and hits Edward with a pretty strong Ice Beam in return, and doesn't get the freeze. I gave Edward an Asper Berry before the fight, just in case it got frozen. Lorelei then uses one of her full restore and heals Dugong back to full health before takes some damage from a critical hit bite. A Thunderbolt in the next turn knocks out Dugong, and Lorelei sends out Cloyster. Cloyster has horrible special defense though, so it doesn't get a chance to do something against Edward. As Edward is leveling up, Slowbro is out next, and while it has better special book than Cloyster, it's not bulky enough to be able to survive Edward's Thunderbolt. Lorelei's Lapras on the other hand is very bulky and easily takes 1 Thunderbolt from Edward. Lapras goes for Surf, which brings Edward to yellow and activates its Citrus Berry. Because of Citrus Berry, Lapras is out of healing range and gets knocked out by the second Thunderbolt. Last is Jinx, and Edward unfortunately is not healthy enough to be able to tank Jinx Ice Step with critical hit. So I swap Edward with Sonia as Jinx goes for Ice Punch for some damage. Sonia is faster and strikes Jinx hard with Surf for about 50%, while Jinx goes for another Ice Punch for more damage. Sonia goes for another Surf in the next turn, but Jinx is able to survive with very little health and gets another Ice Punch, bringing Sonia to less than 50%. Then Lorelei heals her Jinx with the second full restore, as Sonia goes for Surf for the next 2 turns and annoyingly still fails to knock out Jinx, which puts Sonia to sleep with Lovely Kiss. Sonia is not holding Chesto Berry, thus it won't wake up soon, so I swap it with Dewey while Jinx goes for Ice Punch, which freezes Dewey. Unfortunate. At the very least, Dewey has great special bulk along with leftovers, so that he can stay for several turns until it frosts. That is, until Jinx goes for a track. And I realize something. If Dewey is frozen, then Jinx won't go for Lovely Kiss, so I swap Dewey with Daisy on Ice Punch, which deals grand total of 6 damage, and finishes off Jinx with Surf for the win. A little messy at the end, but hey, there's no death and I get my first victory against the Elite Four. Next of the Elite Four is Bruno, who specializes in fighting type. I'm expecting this fight will be fast and easy, since Sonia is very fast and has access to both Stab, Surf, and Psychic, which hits all Bruno's T4 super effective. Bruno's lead Onix are easily drowned by Surf, however, his Hitmonchan manages to survive a Psychic and gets a Rock Tomb, which lowers Sonia's speed. Bruno then uses his full restore, and Sonia hits Hitmonchan with Psychic, which gets the high roll for the one shot. Hitmonlee is out next, and I'm a little worried if it's able to outspeed Sonia at -1, and lands a critical hit Mega Kick. But the Starfish is still faster, and managed to get high roll on Psychic for the KO. Bruno sends out Onix next, as Sonia backs to full HP when leftovers, and immediately getting destroyed by Surf. Last is Machamp, and for the second time, I accidentally choose the wrong move, picking up Surf instead of Psychic. Machamp is survived, but it just goes for bulk up, allowing Sonia to knock out Machamp in the next turn before it can do some damage. 2 Elite Four down, 2 more to go. The third Elite Four member is a Ghost/Poison type expert Agatha. Her team is centered around Satur's conditions, and my main strategy for this fight is to bring a fast Pokemon with Substitute. I lead with Danny, which is faster than Agatha's lead Gengar, and set up a Substitute immediately, while Gengar sets up a double team. And leftovers heals a little bit of Danny's HP. In the next turn, Danny connects a Drill Peck and deals massive damage to the opposing Gengar, while the Shadow Pokemon goes for Confuse Ray, which is failed thanks to Substitute, and Danny gets another leftovers recovery. Agatha then uses one of her full restore, bringing Gengar to full HP as Danny misses a Drill Peck and heals with leftovers. Danny connects a Drill Peck in the next turn as Gengar sets up another double team, and leftovers brings Danny to full HP. Thankfully, Danny still managed to hit Gengar at +2 evasion in the next turn for the knockout. Agatha sends out Golbat next, and then he hits Golbat very hard with maximum power return, leaving Golbat in the red, while the bat goes for Confuse Ray. Substitute it really got here. Agatha doesn't heal the next turn, so her Golbat gets knocked out by Danny's dual pack. Arbok is out next, and Intimidate doesn't work on Substitute? Well, that's news for me. But anyways, Danny strikes Arbok with a strong return into the red, and Arbok finally breaks Danny's Substitute with Sludge Bomb. Agatha refuses to heal again for some reason, so Danny scores another KO with Drill Peck. Agatha's second Gengar is out next, and anticipating either Hypnosis or Confuse Ray, I set up another Substitute, and it pays as Gengar indeed goes for Hypnosis. Danny goes for Drill Peck in the next turn, and Gengar wastes another turn with failed Hypnosis, and heals some of the damage with Citrus Berry. But it doesn't heal enough damage to prevent Gengar from being knocked out. That's his counter, and Danny easily one-shotted with Drill Peck. Agatha is defeated, and there's only one Elite Four remaining. The last member of the Elite Four is Lance, the Dragon Master. I lead with Sonia against his lead Gyarados. Sonia outspeeds and one-shots Gyarados with Thunderbolt, as well as Lance's first Dragonair with Ice Beam. Lance's second Dragonair, however, survives with very low HP and strikes back Sonia with Dragon Rage, dealing exactly 40 hit points. Lance then heals his Dragonair with full restore, but it doesn't matter for him as Sonia easily two-shots Dragonair, preventing it from dealing any more damage. Lance then sets out his powerful Ace Dragonite, and unfortunately, there's a chance that Sonia fails to one-shot and gets knocked out by critical hit Outrage or Hyper Beam. So I swap the Starfish with Murray in order to lower Dragonite's attack with Intimidate. But then Dragonite just goes for Safeguard, which is unfortunate. I try to set up Murray with Dragon Dance in the next turn, as Dragonite starts attacking it with Outrage. Leftovers then heals enough damage on Murray, which allows it to survive a critical hit Outrage. In the next turn, Murray goes for Secret Power, which does embarrassingly low damage, and Dragonite gets another Outrage, bringing Murray to yellow for a while before Leftovers bringing it back to green. Dragonite then gets confused because of Outrage, but it's still too risky for Murray to stay in, so I swap Murray with Daisy. Dragonite managed to break the confusion and goes for another Outrage, which deals way too much damage to Daisy than I want. A crit will obliterate Daisy for sure, but since Lance still has one more full restore, as well as an Aerodactyl in the back, I don't have any choice but to risk it. Turns out, Daisy managed to outspeed Dragonite and shuts Lance's powerful Ace down with Ice Beam. What a relief. The battle is not over though, as Lance sends out his final Pokemon, Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl outspeeds Daisy for sure, so I swap it with Edward on an Ancient Power, which does ridiculous amount of damage thanks to critical hit. If Aerodactyl went for Hyper Beam instead, I would lose Edward for sure, or if it got the Omni Boost, in which I might need some sacrifice. I don't have anything to say here other than being lucky, but anyways, Edward outspeeds and finishes off Aerodactyl with Thunderbolt. All the Elite Four members are defeated, but the challenge is not done yet. There's still one more battle left, which is the battle against Spade as the new champion. His team is absolutely cracked with higher level, improved stats, type diversity, and better move pool. This battle is the ultimate battle between two of the strongest trainers, and the last battle that I need to defeat in order to complete the challenge. Spade leads with his trusty Pidgeot, and I lead with Edward. Edward outspeeds and hits Pidgeot with a Thunderbolt, which is strong enough to one-shot the bird. Spade sent out Rhydon next. With access to Earthquake, Rhydon easily decimates Edward, so I swap Edward with Murray while Rhydon goes for Earthquake, which does nothing. Then Murray obliterates Rhydon with 4 times super effective Surf, despite the former's low special attack. Alakazam is out next, and it goes for Psychic, dealing solid damage to Murray. Meanwhile, Murray goes for Earthquake, which leaves Alakazam in the red. Leftovers heals a little bit of Murray's HP, but it's not enough to save Murray from Alakazam's critical hit Psychic. However, it doesn't matter in the end, because Spade uses one of his full restore into Alakazam, giving Murray a free turn to set up Dragon Dance. After a single Dragon Dance, Murray is able to go first and one-shots Alakazam with Earthquake. Spade then sends out his Exeggutor, and it's bulky enough to not get 2 shots by Murray's secret power even at +1. Exeggutor goes for an Egg Bomb, which hits Murray for some damage, although Mary's leftovers mitigate some of that damage. In the next turn, I take a risk by swapping Murray with Danny, and it pays as Exeggutor goes for another Egg Bomb. Danny then knocks out Exeggutor with unnecessary critical hit Drill Peck, leaving Spade with only 2 Pokemon. Spade's penultimate Pokemon is Gyarados, and I swap Danny with Sonia as Gyarados goes for Hydro Pump, in which Sonia takes hits pretty well. Sonia then hits Gyarados with 4 times super effective Thunderbolt, but Spade's Blue Dragon survives in the red and strikes back with Dragon Rage. Then Spade wastes all of his full restores for the next 3 turns, as Sonia cannot one-shot full health Gyarados for the next 2 turns before it gets lucky critical hit at the very next turn. Gyarados is down and Spade sends out his final Pokemon Charizard. I bring out Daisy and Charizard goes for Fire Blast, which deals more damage than I want even though Daisy has the Thick Fat ability. In the next turn, Charizard goes for another Fire Blast and brings Daisy to the yellow, while Daisy goes for an Icy Wind, which does basically nothing, but it lowers Charizard's speed. So much so that Daisy outspeeds in the next turn and tries to drown Charizard with Surf for the last time. However, the Fiery Dragon survives in the red, but it just goes for Slash instead of Blaze boosted Fire Blast, which will definitely knocks out Daisy. Charizard's Citrus Berry is activated, but it's not enough to save it from getting knocked out by Daisy's Surf. With Charizard down, Spade is defeated and we become the new champion. And there we go. I successfully completed my very first Nuzlocke, and I'm surprised how well I'll perform in this run, especially in the Pokemon League, where I'm expecting at least 1 or 2 deaths. Yes, I picked the issue Pokemon game in Leaf Green. I used broken moves like Substitute and Dragon Dance. I used too many powerful Pokemon like Nidoqueen and Starmie, just to name a few. But in the end, I'm still satisfied with this run and ready for more challenging runs. If you want to see more Pokemon challenge runs from me, you can like this video and subscribe to this channel. Or if you want to have something to tell, you can leave me a comment as well. That's it for the video today, and thank you for watching.